In this video, I want to share with you a secret which took me 11 years to learn. But when I learnt it, I was able to double my property portfolio in just 1 year. So my name's Simon Zutshi. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network. I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller. And I've been investing in property since 1995 and teaching other people to do it since 2003. And this video, I want to share with you some really valuable information that's going to help you pay a lot less for every single property that you buy. So as someone who's new to property investing, if you can learn this secret that I'm going to share on the video, it's going to save you thousands and thousands of pounds off every property you buy going forward. So please do take really good notes. You're going to learn a huge amount by watching this video. So in the last video, I talked about the most important thing that you need to know to be a successful property investor, and that is what makes a great deal. So thank you if you've watched the video and commented. If you haven't, you might want to go back and do that because some really valuable information in there. But on this video, once we know what makes a good deal, I want to talk more about how do we actually find great deals. And the secret that I want to share with you is about buying from motivated sellers. Now, when I first started investing in property, I said I didn't know what I was doing, and I stumbled my way through, and I probably found a couple of motivated sellers by chance, but it was very much by chance. I want to make sure that you're very conscious, you know exactly what a motivated seller is, and in this video I'll explain how do you find them. So first of all, what is a motivated seller? Well, it's someone for whom the speed and certainty of the sale is more important than the amount of money they actually get. What this means is they're going to be flexible on the price and or the terms of the sale. So let me give you a couple of examples to kind of understand a bit more about this and show just how valuable it is. The first true motivated seller I found and actually did the deal was a property in Nottingham. This guy contacted me, and unfortunately he was in a situation where he had lost his job, he owned a house, and he'd taken out loans to keep paying his mortgage because he knew if he didn't pay his mortgage, he'd lose his house. He was a very proud man. He lived on a council estate. He'd bought the property from the council. Everyone on the estate knew him. And so for that reason, he didn't want to sell his house conventionally. But because he couldn't keep up with all the payments, he knew he was going to get repossessed. So he was desperate for someone like me to come and buy his house and clear all of his debt. So I sat down with him and I understood what was important to him. Confidentiality was important, speed was important. He wanted to clear debts and get some money left over. So we worked it out on a piece of paper. I said, right, if I could give you this, would that work? He said, if you could do that, Simon, in the timescale, I'll be delighted. And I did it. I was able to buy the property very, very quickly. And at the time, I used none of my own money as well. And this was a situation where I was able to buy this property 36% below the market value. That was according to the RICS valuations. So we got a third-party independent surveyor who valued it for us, and it was a 36% discount. Now before that, I would have thought nobody is going to sell their property at such a discount. But it's important to put yourself into the shoes of the other person and understand what their problem is and see if you can come up with a win-win solution. Now, I got a lot of equity in that property. It was a great deal for me, but it was also great for the seller because the solution of me clearing all the debts and giving some cash in hand was better than him getting repossessed, having the embarrassment and the stain on his credit rating and the inability to finance things in the future. So it's about finding that ethical win-win solution. Now let me give you another example. So I had a contact with a property, a lady in London. And she was in the situation where she had this property, and again, she was in a financial difficulty. She'd wanted to sell the property, and she'd actually gone into her local newspaper and she'd seen an advert of someone saying, "We'll buy your house fast for cash." And that's a great way of finding potential sellers. So she'd called this company up. And they'd come round, they looked around, and they agreed to buy the property. Now, there's one of the companies that bought a big discount, and she was okay with that. Her and her late husband had purchased the property many years before, so what she was selling it for was more than she had bought it for, and she wanted to sell the property because, unfortunately, her husband had passed away. He was the one who previously dealt with the property, and whilst they'd lived there together when they first got married, they had moved out, they were renting it, and he looked after all the financial situation. When he passed away, suddenly she had this property she had to manage. She didn't enjoy doing it. She didn't know what to do. She just wanted to sell the property. So she'd gone in the newspaper. She wanted to sell quickly. She didn't want to go to an agent, and this company said they'd buy it. Now, this company wanted to have what's called vacant possession. They didn't want any tenants in the property when they bought the property. So what they did, they said, look, you've got to get rid of the tenants, which she did. And she said, well, hang on, how am I going to pay the mortgage? They said, don't worry, when we buy the property, we'll clear all the mortgage arrears, because once it was empty, she couldn't afford the mortgage and the arrears started to build up. The mortgage company started to contact her and said, look, why are you not paying your mortgage? You've got to pay. And she was really worried about this, but the company buyer said, look, don't worry, we'll take care of it for you. Now, this dragged on for a few months, which is not good. They were supposed to be buying quickly. And for some reason, there were some delays. Until she got the call. The day she was supposed to be exchanging contract, her solicitor called her and said, I'm really sorry, they've pulled out. Now, I don't know why they pulled out. I don't know who it was, but for some reason, they said they'd buy this property and they pulled out the sale. She was understandably devastated. She was very panicky because she said, if I lose this property, what will the knock-on effect be on my own home? And that's what she was most concerned about, not losing her own home. So very quickly, she went out, she found some tenants. So there were students, she put them in at a fairly low rent. She could have got more, but speed was really important for her. And then she wanted someone else to buy the property. And that's where I came in. So I found out about this property. I spoke to her. She was very skeptical at first because she'd been burnt by this other company who were, by the sounds of it, totally unethical. But anyway, she did want to sell the property. And I said to her, look, it sounds like a great property, but I don't know if you should sell it. You know, it sounds like a good investment to me. It was a 4-bed maisonette in southeast London. She was renting it for £1,100. Now, the rent could be far more than that, but she just put some students in really quickly. And she explained the situation. She said, look, I want to avoid repossession. And she told me what had happened. And I said to her, well, hang on a minute, how much is your mortgage? She said her mortgage payments were only £700 a month. So I said, well, hang on, your mortgage is $700, the rent's $1,100, there should be some extra cash there. Why don't you see if the mortgage company will take all of the rental income to not only pay the current mortgage, but also pay off some of the arrears? And she said, Simon, will that work? And I said, well, I don't know, but it's worth a try. So rather than just buying the property from her, which is what she wanted to do, I was trying to find an ethical solution so that she didn't have to sell it because she'd retain the property. So she spoke to the mortgage company. They came back and said, yep, as long as we get the full $1,100 each month, we won't repossess you. So she called me, she was over the moon. She was so happy because she was worried if that got repossessed, the knock-on effect on her own home. So she was really happy and I said, well, look, well done, congratulations. I'll just keep in touch with you if that's okay. So I sent her a text message every month or so, hey, how you doing? And then she texted me back one month and said, can you give me a call? So I called her up and I said, hi, how you doing? She said, well, okay, but I've decided I want to sell the house. And I said, are you sure? Because we talked about it and we agreed it was a pretty good property you should probably hold on to. And she said, well, I know that's the case, but what I didn't tell you last time, Simon, is that I hate going to the house. Every time I go to the house, it reminds me of my late husband. You know, he's passed away now. We used to live there together and it's really emotionally upsetting. So I just want to sell the house. And I said, okay, well, how much do you want for it? He said, look, Simon, I'd like you to buy it because you helped me out and I'm happy to sell it for whatever, the same price that the company was going to pay me before. Now, this was a 4-bed maisonette in London. It was a few years ago now, and I don't do much investing in London, but I'm sharing this example because many people think, oh, I live in an expensive area, it's not going to work here. Well, this works everywhere if you know how to find these motivated sellers. So the property was worth £225,000 at the time, and she was prepared to sell it to me for £162,000. That's a 27% discount in London. There are motivated sellers everywhere. And I said to her, are you really sure? You know, the house is worth more than that. She said, I know it's worth more than that, but you helped me out. I like you, Simon. I just want to get rid of it. Now, I always try and find the best solution for the seller. I was getting a really big discount, which was great. But on a bit more digging, I found out the owner had a mortgage on this property and it had what's called a redemption penalty. So when you take out a mortgage, it's normally for a certain period of time, and if you repay it within a certain time, they'll charge you a penalty. And so she had a penalty of £7,000 if she sold it before the November of that year. Now this was in the August. So I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll exchange contracts. I'll clear all of the risks. You've got no risk of being repossessed. I'll take over the responsibility straight away so you don't have to worry about it. And then I'll complete the sale on the 1st of December. So once you're beyond the redemption penalty, what that meant was buying for 162, which was just going to clear the debt, by just exchanging to give a certainty and then having delayed completion, not only was she going to clear the debt, but instead of having to pay the £7,000 to the mortgage company, she was able to take that money and put it in her pocket. So she gets an extra £7,000 that she wasn't expecting. Doesn't cost me anymore, it's just less money that goes to the mortgage company. And that's what I mean when I talk about coming up with a win-win that works for everyone involved. So there are great deals everywhere if only you know how to find them. So let's consider, how do we actually find these motivated sellers? I'm going to talk about 5 different ways. So the first way is working with estate agents. Now, estate agents obviously have lots of people on their books who are wanting to sell property. The problem is most of those people are not going to be motivated enough to work with us. And if you go to an agent and say, oh, can I have your motivated sellers, or can I have the properties below market value? They're going to think you're an idiot because they're used to people saying to them, I want to sell my house for as much as I possibly can. But there are certain ways you can work with agents. And in fact, there are 5 questions you can ask agents to get them bringing deals to you. So I've actually prepared a PDF document. You'll see it below the video. You can click on that and download the 5 questions to ask agents to get them bringing deals to you. So I highly recommend you do that. So agents is one way, but actually I prefer going direct to the sellers. And the way we do that is by using marketing and advertising to attract them to us. So the first thing is, you might have noticed if you have a local newspaper. Now, newspapers are a dying industry, but people still do read papers and people advertise in them still. And in the back of your local free weekly newspaper, there's probably an advert for at least one company saying, hey, would you like to sell your house fast for cash? And what they're doing is they're attracting people who are in that situation. Now, newspapers can be great, they're, as I say, a bit outdated. A more direct strategy, rather than a general blanket newspaper advert, is by using leaflets. You might identify a certain part of town, even certain streets, even side of streets, where you say, actually, that's the kind of property I'd like to buy. And you get those leaflets distributed just saying, hey, would you like to sell your house quick? Not the best use of time for you to distribute them, get other people to do that for you and make sure they have actually delivered them. But that can be a very targeted way of finding properties in the area that you want. My next favorite method is actually working with landlords, sending letters to registered HMO landlords, that the councils have the list of all those people, and saying, hey, would you like to rent or sell your property? Now, right now, because of Section 24, which are the new tax changes that came in April 2017, we're seeing more and more landlords than ever before who are thinking about selling up early and wanting to retire from property. So contacting landlords is a great way to find those people, and many of them are thinking about it. They haven't put their properties on the market yet. So if you just send one letter, it's probably not going to work. You need to have a campaign of letters to build up over time, so when that person's ready to sell, you're the person they think of and you're the person they contact. But my absolute favorite way of finding deals is through word of mouth, through networking, through other investors. The 2 deals I mentioned earlier, the first one I did in Nottingham and the one in London, those were both deals that other people found. They didn't want them. The first one was a guy who invests in London. He got this deal in Nottingham out of his area. He called me and said, I've got a deal in your area. Now, Nottingham's not quite Birmingham where I am, but it's a lot closer to me than it was to him. So he gave me that lead under the condition that if I turned it into a deal, I would pay him a 2% finance fee, which is what I did. And I was very happy to do that. The other deal I mentioned, the one in London, it was an investor who does invest in London, but the strategy he wanted to do didn't fit this particular deal. And so he called me and I spoke to the lady, and when I eventually did the deal, I then paid him a finder's fee for that particular deal. And so I'm very happy to pay fees to other people who are finding great deals for me. And obviously you can do that yourself. But rather than you having to pay fees, it's best for you to get out in your area, find motivated sellers and help solve their problem. So the first thing you need to know is how do you find these people, which we just covered. But advertising is not enough. You need to know when they come to you, what do you say to them? How do you get them to open up, to be honest, to tell you what's going on for them such that they give you the information you need to find out how you can help them? When you know what their situation is, then you could try and work out the best solution. Now, a lot of people struggle with this because they don't really know what to do. So I created this. This is the Ultimate Strategy Blueprint. It's basically a flow chart. It's a very simple document, but a document that helps my students to understand exactly what should they do in any circumstance. By working through the flowchart, answering yes or no, it comes to the strategy that's the ideal strategy to use in that particular circumstance. And what this means is by using this very simple document, you can actually spot deals that other people would miss. And that's the final thing I want to mention on this. You see, there are lots of people out there who are looking for deals, and some of them are new to property, some are very, very experienced. But if they find something that is maybe out of their area or doesn't meet their criteria or is too big for them or too small for them, they'll probably just disregard it. But you can work with those people. It's what we call a junk lead. It's a junk lead because to that person who's found it, it doesn't meet their criteria, so it doesn't really have any value. But to you, it might work for you. It might be in your area. It might be the kind of deal you do. Using the flow chart, you can identify and spot an opportunity that these other people might miss because they don't know what they don't know. So educating yourself about all these various strategies is a pretty smart thing to do to make sure you can monetize all of the deals that you are finding. So we've talked about what is a motivated seller. We've talked about how to find these motivated sellers. And the reality is, once you get good at this, you're probably going to find more deals than you could actually do yourself. Now, obviously, you're going to keep the very best deals, but deals that you don't want, instead of just disregarding them, you can take them and package them up and sell them to other investors. And typically, a package deal is anywhere between £3,000 and £5,000. So how would you like to get paid £3,000 to £5,000 for deals that you don't want? And that's what I'll explain in the next video, the third video in this series, on how you can make money packaging deals and selling them to other investors. So you might have never thought about this. You might be thinking about just buying deals for yourself, but you're leaving money on the table. As long as it's a good deal, you can sell it to someone else for whom that's a perfect deal. So that's what I want to share in the next video. If you like this, please do comment below if you've got any questions. Please do share with other people on social media. I look forward to sharing the next video. In the meantime, invest with knowledge, invest with skill.